Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 3 tips for tomorrow's horse racing. Now before we get stuck into them, let's quickly just reflect on how our selections performed today. In the end, it wasn't a particularly great day here on my YouTube channel. The only thing of note we had to write home about was Tommy's Oscar. He finished 3rd, advertised at 8-1 each way, ran well for a long way. He was looking around a little bit at 1 or 2 flights of hurdles, which is a little bit unusual for him, but in the end he was no match for Milkwood, who was a very worthy winner on the day and deservedly got his head in front after running in some nice races this season. So that was a little bit frustrating there. He couldn't win, but he still ran a respectable race. The one that I was a little bit disappointed with was my next best. He did drift out to 7-1 at Wincanton. That was Valseur de Grand Val. He travelled lovely for the majority of the race, and I thought he was going to pick off the eventual winner for Colin Tizard's stable, travelling like a dream, and had every chance really, no excuses, and if he was good enough he should have gone on and got the job done. But yeah, if he'd won it definitely would have turned our fortunes for today and we would have been up quite nicely. But yeah, a little bit frustrating on that one. The other 2 selections that we put up, Tamarack the Man Fan, I underestimated All Mankind, but I think a lot of people did, to be fair. A lot of people wanted to take him on and you could see why, but in the end he relished going up in trip and he just run them all ragged. Tamarack the Man Fan though, I don't think Sean Byrne was never completely happy. If you actually go back and watch the race from the start, he was always just chivying him along at certain stages of the race, and then when All Mankind began to wind it up, he just couldn't live with it anymore, and in the end was a little bit disappointing. I think he actually unseated Sean Byrne in the end, but the cameras didn't quite show that. But yeah, disappointing there. And then the other tip in the Scottish National, well, those races are always hard to win. Mighty Thunder had been on my shortlist, but I went against him on the end, but he was a well-deserved winner for Tom Scudamore and Lucinda Russell. Had some good form obviously going into the race with the Midlands Grand National, but I thought the handicapper might have just eventually caught up with him, and that was the only negative I had. My selection, Chapel Style, never really looked like he was in love with it today. Made quite a few mistakes, I thought, at a few of his fences. Was there until the last circuit, but got pulled up in the end by Ryan Day. But a lot of the fancied horses did get pulled up anyway. It's just one of those kind of races. But yeah, disappointing day today. Been a little bit disappointed in the last couple of videos, but hopefully we can start the week with some winners tomorrow. And like I said at the top of the video, I've got 3 tips for tomorrow's racing. So we're going to be going to Pontefract for the first selection, where we go in the 4 o'clock, and we're going to be going with a horse here that's actually been a winner for us before on the YouTube channel, and that is Serious Intention for Jack Mitchell and Richard Fahey. You can currently back this horse at 7-1, and I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here. Now this horse tomorrow, even though we haven't seen him since October, does bring some handy form to the table, and he's now down to a mark which is 67, which is £1 below his last win, and it's his only win, which came at Newcastle. If you've been following me for a while, you might remember we backed him at Newcastle that day. But I think of a mark of 67, that's fairly workable for him. They've actually gelded him since we've last seen him, so he's had the chop, but that might just hopefully unlock a little bit more improvement, because he definitely comes there a lot of the time making smooth headway, and there's always an eye catcher. And I just think the race tomorrow could set up quite suitably for a horse of this nature. Now, if you look at the race as a whole tomorrow, I think the Mark Johnston and Carl Burke runners, they're going to go off hard in front. And I think with the way that they've been racing, they could just set it up for a closer like Serious Intention. If you go back to the form at Newcastle, that's a really good race. It's produced some decent form. So I think if he can replicate that performance, I think he's got a good chance in this race tomorrow. He might just need the run, but Richard Fahey's team have been going quite well in the last week or so. They are amongst the winners now, and I think that just that just gives the positive vibe, in my opinion, for Serious Intention. And it could be a bit of a pace collapse here, and I think Serious Intention in that stiff finish at the end at Pontefract, obviously it's a sharp bend as they go into the finish, but once they hit the straight, I could see Serious Intention doing his best work late on. And at 7-1, there's 3 places with the place terms at the moment in the bet, and I think that's a great each way shout. Going to be my next best for the day, and I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here. We then go to Windsor for the 4:15. 4:15. Now I'm taking a bit of a flyer left field shot with my long shot selection here in the 4:15 at Windsor tomorrow. I'm going here with a horse called Amnaa, which is currently available at 28 to 1. I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here for Savvy Osborne, claiming 7. She's riding for John Bridger. Now, on the bare form of its recent form figures, it doesn't look a particularly attractive horse to be putting up. But I think this race is so weak tomorrow, a left field horse of this nature could win. Now, she's now down to this filly. She's now down to her last winning mark of 45, and on her day she is more than capable of winning a race. Her last win came towards the end of last year at Kempton on the weather over 6 furlongs, and if you go back and watch her last run at Lingfield, this filly, she did quite well, I thought, for a long way. That was over 7 furlongs, and I just don't think it would have suited her. Making all at Lingfield is always a hard task there on the all-weather surface, but I think tomorrow dropping back to 6 furlongs would really suit this horse. All her best form has come in 6 furlongs, and now, like I said, she's down to a mark of 45, and Savvy Osborne has been riding quite well in the last week. You might remember we put her up when she won at Ripon on Dapperman Zarnap that day. And I just think that this horse has got a chance. John Bridger's team have been okay as well. They had a massive winner, obviously, with a 2-year-old last week, and they can often pop up at big prices. I know this horse is 28 to 1. I could expect it really to take a walk in the market tomorrow. Could even go off 66 to 1. Who knows? I don't expect there to be money around for it at all. So if there isn't any nibbles, I wouldn't particularly read that as a negative sign. You know, it's just going to be a big price, whatever the final SP is, because I can't see this horse really being majorly backed. I know John Bridger's team do run another horse in the race, and Kieran O'Neill does ride a lot for John Bridger, but so did Savvy Osborne last season. She struck up a good relationship with him, including winning on a horse of his called Pontefract. So I just think this horse tomorrow might be able to cause a surprise, likes to run up with the pace, and in a really weak race, that just might suit. If this horse can be handy and can be prominent, she could stay there at the end, I think. And yeah, this is a really weak race. Can't really see many progressive types. I think that Richard Hughes' horse is obviously the likely one to beat, but I just thought Amnaa, you know, of a nice low racing weight, back down on her last winning mark, back down in trip. She can win on the turf. She won when she was previously trained by Adrian Nichols on the turf. I think she could maybe really outrun her odds tomorrow. And as a flyer, as my long shot of the day, I'm going to take a chance with her. We then go to Market Rasen for my nap, to the last race on the card there, conditional jockey's handicap hurdle. We go to the 7:30 there, and I'm going with a horse here called Theocrat for Kieran Buckley, claiming £6 in this conditional race, and he's riding for Nigel Hawkes. Now, Nigel Hawkes' team have been in fantastic form. They're operating at a 50% strike rate in the last fortnight, and they always tend to do well around about this time of year. I remember they've done us a few good turns at this time of year in these low-grade affairs when the ground is normally turning very quick, and we're approaching the summer jump season. But yeah, this horse, I thought he was quite impressive last time out when he won at Taunton. It wasn't a particularly strong race, I should say. It was a weak race on paper, but he still did the job very well. Now, the handicapper had his say and raised him £11 for that win, but in this race, he's going to be getting the 4-year-old allowance, which might just make the difference. And with the £6 claim of Kieran Buckley, he's going to be getting weight from horses that are rated lower than him. So I still think he's got a very good chance in this race. You can currently back him at the time recording at 5 to 2, and I thought that was a fair price. I'm going to recommend a 1-point win bet with him there. I could see a little bit more to come from him. He won by making all at the front last time out at Taunton, and Market Rasen can be one of those tracks where it's sometimes difficult to come from off the pace, and I know there's 1 or 2 front runners in here, but I think this horse will go to the front, and I think the others, they might just want to take a lead, sit behind him, but I think he could catch them off guard. And I think this horse, I think he will take all the beating, and I would rather be with him than the Ollie Murphy horse. So yeah, this is going to be my nap tomorrow, Theocrat in the 7:30 at Market Rasen. So they're the 3 tips for tomorrow's racing. If you're still enjoying these videos, please remember to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe here to my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. Also as well, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do. That's the only place you can do so on social media. My handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website address is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.